Now to a story that affects millions of kids around the country. The FDA's Juul ban is on hold as of last week, meaning Juul's e-cigarettes are still being sold at stores across the country. So what does that mean for teens moving forward? Dr. Lanty Jordanby joins us via Zoom. She's an addiction expert and the chief medical officer of a Florida treatment center. Dr. Jordanby, good morning. Let's dive right in here. Tell us more about this pause on the FDA's Juul ban. What's the reason for it?
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. From what I understand, the pause really came from maybe the FDA being a little more aggressive on reducing the risks for teen smoking. And one of the big issues with Juul is that was the very first or one of the very first e-cig companies that revolutionized continuous nicotine delivery. It made the advertising for e-cigs very fun for teenagers and young adults with colors and flavors. And so it really attracted a large new group of smokers. And of course, we know e-cigs may not have the same toxins that a regular cigarette does, but they still have toxins, and introducing them into a young adult brain or even a teenage brain can run some other risks, such as addiction and even down the road addiction to other things besides nicotine.
Right. The big concern was that Juul made these e-cigarettes very attractive to teenagers. So how long do you think it could be before this ban takes effect?
Well, I really hope that the FDA kind of reverses its approach. But one thing I really think we need to do is not just ban Juul, but really look at all the e-cig companies, because Juul just happens to be the most popular one. It's the one that's well known. Everyone's heard about it. It's gotten a lot of press, negative and positive. And so they're focusing on that specifically, but there's tons of other e-cig companies, including regular tobacco companies that have bought smaller e-cig companies. And so all of them really need a closer view, and I think a ban, because again, you are trying to hook a new generation of smokers with these teenage kind of focuses with the flavors, the colors, the new ads, all of that. And one really scary thing that we've seen is that we saw a drop in smoking over the pandemic, surprisingly. They do a survey every year and look at how many teens are smoking. And so we saw a little bit of a drop during 2020 and 2021. However, one thing that we do know is that kids that smoke e-cigs may never have smoked a real cigarette, but they're more likely to, once they kind of prime the pump in their brain, really get that addiction center going. So those are really the higher risks in my mind.
Right. There is a substantial fear that smoking e-cigarettes leads to cigarette smoking for teens. What are the other risks for e-cigarette use for teens?
Well, one of the things that we've seen is that teenagers, their brains are still developing, they're under construction. And I tell that to all my parents and my young adults that even up until their mid-20s, their brains are still forming. So when you introduce a toxin or a chemical like nicotine or even other things, you're going to change development of that brain. And so we've seen teenagers who smoke early have problems with sleep, restlessness, anxiety, depression, even problems with learning and memory, attention span. So you're really playing with fire a little bit there. You're introducing something that's going to kind of change the course of their mental health and even their academic successes. So those are kind of the risks that I see. And then one of the other things that I don't think gets enough attention is that e-cigs are easily modified, and we've seen that over the course of the last 2 years. People introduce into e-cigs, they put things like marijuana oil or other types of CBD oils into those devices, and then they're using something that really wasn't designed for that. So we saw a rash of lung disease related to people using e-cigs in ways that they shouldn't have, and so there's a risk there. And then, of course, introducing anything like marijuana. I know that this is kind of a hot topic, but marijuana and CBD, they're not harm-free, especially to a young brain.
Well, Dr. Jordanby, this whole conversation, a great reminder for parents of tweens and teens to talk to them about the real risks of vaping. We thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you.